Good evening. My name is Kenya Harvey. I am the project coordinator at MWBE for Suffolk Community College Entrepreneurial Assistance Center. Tonight's webinar, we will be talking about the certification application process and the supporting documents that you will need to complete this application. Just a little house cleaning before I go on to the next slide. I do have our staff here on the call with us. Ms. Jennifer Kenny. She will monitor the chat for me and let me know if there's any questions, for me. And Jack J is our technical person who will be monitoring our Facebook Live. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat or in the Q&A or raise your hand. There may be an exception to those who just raise your hand if need be. Tonight's agenda, I'm going to go into the certification status, the different types of certifications, MWBE eligibility requirements, the MWBE certification application process, the supporting documents, and then last we'll go into questions. State certifications. Certifications for MWBE consist of the MBE certification, that is for a minority business owner. You have the WBE certification, which is for a woman business owner. You have the MWBE certification, which is for a minority and woman business owner. So you can apply for these three different statuses in this one New York State application. Let's jump into some of the eligibility requirements as discussed in our previous webinar, Intro to MWBE Certification. So under Article 15A of the Executive Law, any for-profit firm that is at least 51% owned, operated, controlled by a citizen or permanent resident, alien, who are either a woman and or minority, is eligible for this certification. The types of minority groups who are eligible for the certification would be Black persons having origins from any of the Black African racial groups. You have Hispanic persons of Mexican, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cuban, Central or South American descent, of either Native American or Latin American origin, regardless of race. You have Asian Pacific persons having origins from the Far East, Southeast Asia, or the Pacific Islands. You also have Asian Indian subcontinent persons having origins from the Indian subcontinent. Also, Native American persons having origins in any of the original peoples of North America would be considered eligible to apply for this certification. Eligibility requirements continue. So all businesses seeking MBE, WBE, or MWBE certification must be independently owned, operated, and controlled by a minority and or woman member. The ownership must be real, substantial, and continuing. And the minority or the woman member must exercise the authority to independently control the day-to-day business decisions. The personal net worth restriction, each minority or woman owner upon whom certification is based upon cannot have a personal net worth exceeding 15 million after deductions, which does not include ownership interest in the certified MWBE firm, the individual's equity in his or her primary residence, and up to 700,000 of any qualified retirement savings plan. Eligibility continued. It also cannot exceed 300 employees, full or part-time. Also must operate independently of other firms, demonstrate business activity, and be in operation for at least 1 year. Out-of-state applicants, the firm is to be currently certified as an MWBE in their home state if they have this similar process. And before applying for MWBE certification, the firm must be registered and authorized to do business in the state of New York and have a presence in New York. All applicants must have the authority to do business in New York State from the New York State Department of State prior to submitting this application. For more information on how to become authorized to do business in New York, you would go to the Department of State, Division of Corporations. I have a number that you can call. You can just look them up online. The Department of State, Division of Corporations. The number that you can call is 518-473-2492, or you can send them an email at operations@dos.state.ny.us. So, applying for certification, if you're wondering if you fit the 1 year business requirement, right? So you just registered your business, say a few months ago, but you've been doing this while, let's say, years or months prior, right? And in that case, you can apply for a 1 year business waiver. So the waiver for 1 year business eligibility is you would need to request this in writing, right? With the supporting documentation. The response time after the request, I've seen about a week or 2 weeks. You know, it really depends on the request or the application or the individual applying, because decisions are made case by case. Once you're approved, you would include a copy of the approval with the certification affidavit and the application. And to obtain a waiver, if you've been in business for less than a year, but can prove that you've been doing this activity prior, feel free to reach out to the MWBE certification help desk. You can also send them an email at mwbecertification@bsd.gov. The number where they can be reached is 212-803-2414. And if you need assistance applying this waiver, also feel free to reach out to me at the center. You could, the contact information will be on the last slide. And if you need me, I'll put it in the chat. So this is where it all takes place. The New York State contract system. The address or where the site is located is at the top. ny.newnycontracts.com. So once you're on this page, you would go down to the certified or recertified with New York tab. So actually it's the first tab on my left. Okay? Certified or recertified. And there's a lot of other cool things that you could also look up more information here on the site, like the directory for MWBE certified programs. Also, new opportunities. So if you're looking for contracts, there's opportunities listed here on the site that we could search. And also they have New York State programs and notices, trainings, upcoming events, announcements, can also be located here as well. So let's jump a little bit into the application process. So once you logged into the New York State contract system and choose that option to certify or recertify in New York, you're going to choose option 1 to create a business profile and with your username and password. Right? Once you create that system, so once you create that username and password, you're then allowed to go in and open up a new application. So then once you start a new WBE, MBE, MWBE certification application, the system will provide the application based on your current business structure. So if you're a sole proprietor, you will get an application based on your proprietorship. If you're an LLC, you'll get an application based on an LLC structure. If you're a corporation or a corp, you will get an application based on that structure as well. The electronic versus fax or mailing and support documents. So once you open up this application, the last list on this in this application, it's going to ask you to upload documents or submit the documents. And the way that I would like you to submit your supporting documents would be electronically. So once you open up this section, you will choose electronic upload. Okay. Know your supporting documents, right? Before actually opening up this application, know what they are, gather them, so that it make the process go a little bit more smoother for you, right? Once you open this application as well, you want to monitor the date of deletion because applications will be saved on the system for only 90 days. Okay, once that 90 days is passed, you will lose that application will extend the application until the system does not allow you. It would only extend for 1 week. So if you need weeks, just keep extending it. Once you exceed that number, you will need to call the help desk to have them extend it further for you. Create an MS Word doc to see that applicable on company letterhead. So every question in this application must be answered. If it cannot be answered, we need to write an explanation on the letterhead, if you can't provide the documentation. If there's a question in here that's not applicable, you would write on a Word doc, not applicable, and just write why, the reason why it's not applicable. A Word doc which is not applicable on it will not be accepted. For questions or to check the status on your application, you will need to contact the MWBE help desk. Also at the numbers 803-214, or give them an email at the MWBE certification at esd.ny.gov. Application breakdown. So now we're able to open up a new application, and now we're beginning it, right? So the first section of this application is a profile. In this section, you're going to add your business information, 3 years gross receipt, and the number of employees that you employ. The second section of this application is ownership information. In this section, you would add the owner info, your sources of capitalization, and the names of board of directors. Section 3 is commodities and services. In this section, you're going to add detailed description of services offered, and you will select your NAICS codes, and we'll go into that a little bit later in the slide. Section 4 is business operations. In this section, you're going to list the owners with their managerial responsibilities. In section 4C and 4D, you would have to list your business activity. And you would have to list the next 3 years business activities for your largest clients. So it's 3 years, and then something currently going on in the business. So you would have to list from 2019, 2020, 2021, right? And then, okay, the current will be, okay, but the current would be 2023. So then it'll be 2020, 21, and 22 that you would need to activity. Section 5 is company's assets and liabilities. This is where you would list rented or leased space, warehouse plant or yard space, or that your business occupies in addition to the office space. Okay. Are there any questions? I know I'm going kind of fast on the slides. Again, feel free to raise your hand or put a question in Q&A or into the application process breakdown, continued, right? So section 6, relationships with other businesses. In this section, you're going to add the relationships with other firms. Section 7, it really gets more, not as many questions in each section. So section 7, it's going to ask you to add your accountant and your attorney information. Section 8, are you certified with other agencies? It's just a yes or no box in this section, and then you move on to your document section. So mandatory supporting documents. So we have certification, application affidavit. We have the attachment A, which is the New York State MWBE certification individual net worth affidavit. We have the attachment B, which is personal financial statement worksheet, which must be attached to the application if the net worth exceeds 1.3 million. We also have the ethnicity attestation clause, which is required for MBE certification. Mandatory documents. Citizenship, ethnicity, and gender. So your birth records, US passports, military records, green cards, business documents, New York State 45 forms, the W3 forms, loans and credit agreements, leases and supply agreements, partnerships, and LLCs. You will need your supervision from the county clerk, operating/partnership agreement, articles of incorporation for corporations. You will need a certificate of incorporation and filing receipt, bylaws, your stock ledger, your corp meeting minutes. Complete 2 years of personal and business taxes, including your IRS 1065 and Schedule K1 tax forms. You will also need your full professional background. You will need your owner's resume and personal licenses, professional license, permit, or certification. Okay. So let's talk about addendums. In this application, I call it the one-stop shop. I call it the one-stop shop because you're able to apply for 3 different certifications with 3 different agencies. We have the New York City's Department of Small Business Services. We have Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. And we have the County of Erie and City of Buffalo Joint Certification Committee Addendum for MWBE certification. So you can apply for MWBE certification with these 3 agencies. But for the addendum with New York City, you will need to apply for an SMS vendor number, which you can request it in the payee information portal, which is also known as PIP. The Port Authority of New York, New Jersey form has to be notarized. And again, you must register in the vendor portal there for you to get a number, register in the portal to get a vendor number as well. County of Erie and City of Buffalo joint certifications, you will need a vendor number as well. So all you will need to apply, and one you need to get. So which is capitalization. So this is a hot topic in the certification process because just starting out, you're not really sure what would be considered as a source. Just to list a few here, you can use the following startup investments as a source of capitalization. So major equipment. So if you had to use your personal funding from your saving or any other account to pay for this company equipment, it's definitely a source of capitalization. Vehicles, right? Use a personal vehicle or you purchase a vehicle for company business, definitely a source of capitalization. Business registration fees, right? You use personal funds to register business with New York State County Clerk. You purchase or rent property, for where the business is located. Purchase inventory, use your personal funds to help grow your business. Last but not least, your expertise in the industry will be definitely considered a source of capitalization. So in this application, there's a section in here that you're going to list for description of services. And in that being said, I recommend you to be detailed as possible when doing this. 1 and 2 sentences, right? There's a lot going on in your business, and we want you to display it here in the description, right? Because at the end of the day, this description will be what they use to put on the database where all the MWBE certified firms are. So buyers looking for MWBEs will see these descriptions, right? So I say use this as a chance to market to the buyers what it is that you do. Right, and you want to be as thorough as possible. I use this example here because it seems like it doesn't leave anything out of the services that it provides, right? So the top example, I provide environmental consulting services. That's great, but it doesn't really say much about what it is that you do there, right? So if you look at the description below that 1 sentence, it goes into detail. Our firm specializes in providing terrestrial, ecological, environmental services. Our primary areas of expertise include flora and fauna surveys, biological inventories, wetland delineations, rare species surveys, and habitat suitability assessments, vernal surveys, invasive species, identification and mapping, habitat, community evaluations and mapping, bird surveys by sight and sound, species monitoring using unmanned aircraft, i.e. Drone, right? That was a mouthful, right? And this is how I want your descriptions to be, because it won't leave you out of any opportunity that your business is capable of fulfilling. So again, in this application, we talked a little bit about the NASIC codes last webinar. The intro to MWBE certification webinar. Capability of a contract reporter. So in this application, you're able to use the NASIC lookup to search the codes. So if you're not sure of the NASICs, that's okay. When you put up the application, you can put in the activity to look up your code. So just know that code selected must represent your current business activities. The codes for activities not yet performed will not get approved, and codes can be updated later. So if you're completing this application and you're thinking about a service that you provide in the future, we would need to wait, to get that activity going and, have you get paid for that service before updating your file to get the codes added. So the application process when it's submitted. So once you complete your application, you submit it, it then goes into phase one, right? Phase one is when it's the application intake. This is where it ensures the criteria for the certification is met and all documentation has been submitted in the application. So that there is a proof that intakes the application to ensure this information is all there, right? Once that's done, if you pass phase one, all the information is there, you go on to phase two. In phase two is where the documents are verified, right? And then this is where they may request more documentation if more clarity is needed. Phase three is where the compliance team looks through your activities and the codes requested, and then to see if you're able to have those codes assigned. Phase four is when they decide on the application. So, we want to, if you don't want the application to get hemmed up or in any of these phases, just try to ensure that, the application is complete with all the documents. Everything is lining up to, with the invoices or signed contract agreements to reflect the basic codes that you're requesting. It should go through smoothly. So the MWBE application status, right? This is where you would call. I shared this number and email earlier, but in case you missed it, it's 803-2414 or MWBE certification at esc.ny.gov. Now, quickly, I want to jump into documents, right? Because I talked about before we go into questions. Let me just pull it up. So the first addendum here I'm showing is with the New York City Department of Small Business Services. So on this addendum, you can see the business information on page 2. Yes or no questions here. Has your business been in operation for at least 1 year? And then we have page 3. So page 3, I stress a lot because this is where the vendor number needs to go at the top. It actually you have a valid New York City FMS vendor number. And in this situation, you want to say yes, right? Because if you say no, it will delay the process. Because then you would need to go get the once they have the application and has it, then they reply. There's a lot of back and forth, so it holds up the process. But you won't be able to get certified unless you are registered first. And this page does not get notarized. Oh, commercial liability, commercial and professional insurance. So if you have that, right, if you're in an industry that requires that, I would advise you to look into getting that now before completing this application, because it will ask. And also, if you accept major credit cards. Sign and date. And then you'll be done with this, and then it goes to the application. I'll grab you. So this is this joint certification with the County of Erie and Joint Certification Committee. Let's go down. Now, if you're on the islands, or if you are not able to fulfill your services to this area, I would advise not completing this addendum. If you're able to go to the area or even provide an online service, surely go ahead and proceed completing it. But this is information. I guess there's no answers here. Operate if has your business been in operation for at least a year. Now, here's the vendor number here. You want to say yes. So apply for the vendor number. There's the instructions to register in the box below. Once you print out this addendum, check that, go to the forms and look for this area so that you can get the instructions for registering. Okay, again, commercial and professional insurance. Sign and date. So this is the attachment B, personal financial statement worksheet. So this worksheet will not be needed if your net worth exceeds, it does not exceed the 1.3 million threshold to complete this application. So what I would urge you to do, if you're not sure of your personal net worth, use this worksheet to help calculate that. So if you can see it here, it'll be your assets minus your liabilities will get you your personal net worth. Okay. Additional information, a little bit more detail about the liability or assets. Okay. Let's go to the attachment A worksheet. Affidavit, sorry. So on this form here, you will, once you determine your personal net worth, you're gonna put that amount on this form, right there. And fill out the top. Okay, fill it out, put your net worth, and on the bottom, you will sign and get notarized. This form must be notarized before uploading. Okay. This is a certification affidavit. A few pages. So here. Yes. This is where you would get your, you would sign and notarize this form, right? For anyone that is 100% owner. If you are in a partnership with someone, you would need to complete page 5. And notarize, sign and notarize. Does anyone have any questions? We're going to take this time to answer any questions you may have about either the supporting documents or even the application itself. Any about, oh, okay, I do have a hand raised. Hi, Dawn.
Good evening. I'm sorry I just joined. I just jumped off another meeting to jump on here. Is there a link to this actual application? Was it
sorry.
sent out?
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I jumped on late. I was on another call. I was asking, is there a link to this application? Was it sent out already?
So the link is the New York State contract system is where you would actually go to complete the application.
Okay, New York
Let
State.
me go back to that link for you.
Let me get a pen.
Here. Do you see
Uh,
that? So this is where you go.
let's see. I don't know, I guess. Let me see. Okay, so you mean the URL at the top?
Yes.
Okay, let me write that down. Okay, I actually screenshot it.
Jen, can you put the link in the chat?
Yes, I'll
Okay,
put it in.
Thank you.
thank you.
Are there any other questions? Sources of capitalization, your NAICS and phases. Sources of capitalization, the addendums, any of the mandatory supporting documents. Oh, there's something in, hold on one moment. So that's a great question. The question was, what is the turnaround time on the application? So the turnaround time really depends on the application, right? How complete and thorough it is with all the documents. Again, I always stress going to an EAC center for assistance will ensure a quicker turnaround time for you. I do advocate for our clients here at the center, so I do aim to get a swift turnaround time when submitted. Any questions about the sections in the application? Depends on where you're located, Dawn. What area are you in? Nassau. So the closest center would be Hofstra. It's Hofstra and Suffolk County would be us. Suffolk County. Yeah, we do. Jen, are you able to put in the contact info for Hofstra, or do you want our contact info, Dawn? Suffolk County Community College. Hofstra. Okay,
I'll have to look that up and email it to you.
okay. So we're gonna email that to you, Dawn.
Please put your email in the chat and I'll follow up with you tomorrow.
So here at the center, I do provide one-on-one assistance. So we sit down and we go through the application together. Each section, we go through the documents until you submit. So if that's something that you're looking into doing, if you're ready, if you're eligible to apply for the certification, reach out to us at the center to set up a meeting. Thank you. Is there anyone here on the call ready to apply for the certification? You could raise your hands or put in the chat. Okay. So you're more than welcome to reach out to the center and set up a meeting with me so that we can get this process started. Okay, no link. No link.
I didn't have an additional question. I was just raising my hand in response to who's ready.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. You're welcome. Okay, so let's go further on. So I just wanted to, wrap up this webinar and to let you know about our upcoming webinars. Next week, we'll have the capability statement and networking for procurement. So in that webinar, we go over what you need to do once you're certified, right? How can you go after opportunities? It starts with building relationships and your capability statement. And then on August 10th, we'll have an intellectual property webinar, an attorney here to talk about how to trademark, patent, or copyright your business ideas. I will take time out again if there's any last minute questions. I did want to say there is one form before I go further. One form that I want to review that is not in the application for the MWBE. So if you're going in to apply for both certification statuses, the MWBE, you will need to put this form inside that application. Now, I'm noticing that application does not have this there to download in the application, but there's some online. When you first open up the application, there's a list of documents there. Be sure to look for this one, download, get notarized, and then upload into the application. It is in the application for the MBE, only the MBE, but not in the MWBE. I'm not sure if that's something that the department knows about. But for now, I've been having clients complete this when they're doing both certifications and just uploading it into that documents application. So on this form, you're just notarizing and certifying that you are, from a certain background here on this one. Are there any other questions? Since there are no other questions, this webinar will be wrapped up. And I want to thank you all.
I have a question. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sure, what? I'm sorry.
Since I jumped on late, are you having another one of these
Yes,
sessions?
yes. We
Because
are.
obviously I missed a whole lot. I'm like, oh, I don't.
There's a lot of
Our
information.
recording will also be posted on our YouTube.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes.
And the YouTube would be under Suffolk Community College?
Suffolk County Community College
Entrepreneur.
Center.
Yes.
Thank you.
Got you.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, awesome.
And whenever you're ready, Dawn, just reach out and we will get started meeting to get this started for you.
Okay, so because I live in Nassau, I have to go through Nassau?
You can go into any center you like, right? But for convenience, Nassau, if you're in that area, would be the closest.
Got you. Okay, because it's in person.
Well, yeah, if you want to, yeah, if you're meeting with the consultant in person, yeah.
Yes, okay. All righty, thank you.
You're so welcome. If there are no other questions, I do want to thank everyone for joining us this evening and looking forward to seeing you at the next webinar in this series.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.